Hi, I'm Rob, and this is Life Rewired. If you're new here, thank you for joining us, and don't forget to go to our website, myliferewired.com. If you need resources, we have those available for you right there. Today, I want to go ahead and get started because we have a fabulous guest. I first met her because I had joined her support group, and she's a singer, songwriter, and founder and executive director of the newly founded Hope Survives. Welcome, Cristabelle Braden. Hi, Cristabelle.
Hey, Rob. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. Um, we finally made it happen. It took a while, but
I
we
know.
our schedules finally aligned. I wish
Well,
Ashley could have been
mostly
here.
it's Rob's patience with me. So thank you for your patience in this. I'm so glad we're finally getting to do this, Rob. And I've enjoyed getting to know you better over the last year. So I'm really grateful
Yeah.
for your heart for people with brain injury. And like you just genuinely love helping people. And I just see that like it radiates out of you. And I'm just really grateful to be here and to be able to be part of your podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll confess that whenever I had joined Hope Survives, well, not Hope Survives, but your support group, I found out that you had a podcast, and I was like, I'd really like to have her on because she's so inspirational. And then I was like, she's not going to do my podcast because you have a great following and you have some really great information out there. I'm like, she's not going to do this. So thank you for making me humble and see that I was wrong in my assumptions.
No, it was just a matter of cognitive energy and schedules. I'm honored to have been asked even from the beginning, and I'm glad I know you better now. So it'll be a better combo because
Yeah,
Rob did an interview for our podcast, Hope Survives podcast, as part of one of our panels that'll be coming out soon. So full circles.
I had a great time that day, and I hope that we can do that again sometime soon. That would be really great.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, we should collaborate more and do other things.
Well, you are Hope Ambassador
Oh
at Hope
yeah,
Survives.
and I
So
was I was honored that she even asked me, and I was like, really, me? But yeah, I prayed about it, and I said, yeah, I think this is right. This is what I should be doing.
well, we appreciate you getting involved. So, where do you want to go from here in this beautiful podcast episode, Rob? We could keep complimenting one another. But it'd be a very boring episode for everyone.
Well, first of all, let's go back. Let's start back to where you first began your journey when you got your first brain injury. I know your story, our audience probably doesn't, but yeah, share that if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. So, my brain injury journey has been a very long, chronic situation. A lot of people, well, I hope this is the case more often than not nowadays. You get a brain injury and then you're able to kind of go through rehab and work your way through it. Um, when I had my first brain injury, it was 17 years ago, and I did not get the proper diagnoses for some of the conditions that were a result of it, and I did not get the proper treatments. So when I first had my traumatic brain injury, it happened when I was 14, almost 15, and I was trying to get through school. I had suddenly couldn't think straight. I couldn't um let me just back up. So my brain injury happened from a youth group game accident. I was running, and the boys on the other team, we were playing a game, and they decided to pull a prank, and my head slammed into the concrete wall, bounced off the floor. I lost consciousness. They think I had like 3 or 4 impacts to my head at the
Mm,
time because it wasn't just like one hit. It was like hit on the wall, bounced off the floor a couple times, couple different places of impact.
yeah.
And then my brain swelled as a result of that, but we didn't know. So over the next like couple days, I went home. I seemed like okay. They didn't call my parents and tell them anything happened. There was not a lot of awareness about concussions in 2007. So basically, I it became very clear that I had a concussion, and things just started to deteriorate. And a couple days later, I couldn't walk straight. I had blurry vision. I couldn't hold conversations. I had to relearn how to get dressed. I had to relearn simple tasks like taking a shower. I couldn't like just hold myself together in any
Mhm.
way. and my short-term memories, my long-term memories, my right side of my body atrophied, which now the doctor, the one of my more recent doctors is like, Cristabelle, like the aphasia and the word finding and your right-sided weakness, it presented like a stroke.
Yeah.
So there's a question is did I have some sort of stroke as a result of the pressure in the brain? My CAT scan was blurry and the neurologist never reordered it. It
Wow.
was blurry due to movement. I just got like a cascade of bad care one
Yeah.
after the other. And so basically, I had undiagnosed vestibular dysfunction, undiagnosed vision problems. We knew there was something off, but they just
Yeah.
kept saying, like, well, just go in a dark room and you'll be fine. Just rest and do nothing and you'll be fine. And my balance kept getting worse, not better. My
Yeah.
cognition was getting worse, not better. And it took us a long time to find the right treatments, to find the what was actually going on with the brain injury. And it was not until 11 years later that I finally got vestibular
Mm.
therapy and I finally got vision treatment. I finally got a dysautonomia diagnosis. And in the meanwhile, I kept falling and hitting my head over and over again. So my TBI story is like a cumulative of over 12 brain injuries, over
Wow.
12 concussions diagnosed since the first brain injury. So there was the first one that like set off this everything, and then setback after setback. And it's just like I've learned now through doing my podcast and through being involved in the brain injury community and like learning more about it. When you have a brain injury, it kind of sets off a cascade of other systems in your body
Hmm.
that are affected. So, like hormones, dysautonomia, like your vestibular, your vision, like neck issues. Like, I had all these other things happening, and it took a long time to find the root causes. I'm still peeling back the onion of the root
Yeah.
causes, like metabolic things. And because it was like such a long journey of things shifting and changing over time, there were like, it's just been a, it's been an, there's just been a lot of pieces. And that's kind of what led me to like wanting to help others that are
Yeah.
going through it.
I love that. I love that. How soon after you said, okay, I have a brain injury? How soon between the brain injury and you going online and saying, I'm going to start a support group? When did that begin?
So I started Hope after head injury in 2012, and my injury was in December '07. So 5 years.
Mm.
It was 5 years after the injury that, and that wasn't even starting a support group. I just started a social media page about brain injury called Hope After Head Injury, and I didn't even put my name on it. It was an anonymous page. I just started posting stuff about brain injury because that's what my generation did.
Yeah.
At that time, we were online and, exploring social media. And so
Yeah.
I just made a page about brain injury. And then people started following it and commenting because they're really like now social media has a lot of pages.
Yeah.
Back then, it was me and brainline.org were like the only pages like on
Yeah.
Facebook about brain injury. There might have been one or two others, but it was like very just like the BIAA and things like that. There really weren't any brain injury blogs. I was kind of the first
Right.
one. And so I started posting about it and people started commenting. And then I started posting videos in like 2014 around then. And then they started to get shared. I started the group in 2014. And then eventually, like 2015, is when I had a video that went viral about having an invisible injury
Mm.
in March 2015. And from that video, I started getting invitations to speak at brain injury conferences. Meanwhile, I'm still going through my own recovery, trying to
Right.
figure out what end is up. And I'm like, why would I be speaking? Like, it was just not at all something I was on my radar. But
Hmm.
it was like the Lord just slowly started opening these doors. And I started
Yeah.
to just see more and more of a need. And I kept getting re injuries, which kind of kept me connected to the community,
Hmm.
and seeing the need and the heart. And so I started doing Facebook Lives every Tuesday for 7 years straight. I did that. That's really where the community grew. Our Zoom group formed out of that. In
Yeah.
the Zoom group, there became clear that there were like needs. People wanted to connect on a more spiritual level, like about faith with brain injury. So the brain injury Bible study was a offshoot of that. So it all happened very organically over 12 years,
Yeah.
which led to the founding of Hope Survives.
Yes. And we're going to get into that in just a minute because that's very important. Whenever I started my journey with my brain injury, I was going on YouTube every night and I would look for people talking about their brain injury and I couldn't find anything, which is really surprising because you have a big following. I'm surprised that YouTube didn't suggest it to me. And that's how I started my podcast because I went back to my counselor and I kept saying, I can't sleep at night. I'm getting online. I'm typing in searches, people talking about the brain injuries, and all that's coming up are doctors, medical professionals that are saying, this is what a brain injury is, and this is the symptoms. I said, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear people talking about real life lived experiences. And I can't find it. And she looked at me and she says, then you do it. Hello, the
I
answer
love
was right
that.
there. But I'm like, I am not qualified to get in front of a camera and tell people about brain injuries. And then it just dawned on me. I'm like, God doesn't use qualified people. He used people that are willing to do the
Yeah.
work. So that's why I did what I'm doing. And that's why I bring people on. So if somewhere that there is somebody sitting in bed at night going, I want to hear people talking about my symptoms, they have access to that information.
I love that, Rob. That's so
So,
great.
and that's why I was so drawn to your group because I've left a few support groups before I got to yours because people were not, I don't know what the correct word is, but you're looking for people that are inspirational, that are like-minded, and they're lifting each other up, not tearing each other down. And there's some really bad groups out there. And that's why I always warn people, get into a support group, see what they're about first. And if it's not a good fit for you, get out of there because what's a good fit for one person might not be a good fit for another. Earlier this year, I was in one of your support groups, your virtual support groups, and you had made mention, hey, we're fixing to start a nonprofit, which that did put my radar up a little bit, but I never thought anything about it. And I had no idea that you were going to ask me to be a part of this. So, where did the idea for Hope Survives come, and where are you looking for it to go?
It kind of came out of what I was sharing earlier about I made a group called Hope After Head Injury in
Mm-hmm.
2012, and that kind of just was growing on social media. It was a passion project. I made a website. I originally made my podcast called Hope Survives because that was based off of a song that I wrote called Hope Survives, which I wrote the song Hope Survives in March 2015. And that's the first time I ever shared it. So, like 10 years exactly is when we launched the nonprofit with the same name, which is crazy because I would have never, I couldn't have written a better story. Is like the Lord just kind of knew,
Yeah.
and it wasn't planned,
Mm-hmm.
that way. But what started to happen was like I was running the Zoom group and podcasts, and I was doing all of this like because it was a passion project. Like I felt a calling to help people
Yeah.
with brain injuries not feel alone because I felt alone and my
Yeah.
family felt alone and my mom felt alone, and I just didn't want anyone to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I was running all these groups, but it started to get too much. I had like thousands of people on my email list, and I couldn't keep up with all the emails by myself. And then I wasn't responding to people, and I'm like, that's not loving. I want people to feel loved and seen, but I can't keep up with it because of my own symptoms. It became too much for me to handle, and I started to seriously pray, like, Lord, like, what would you have me do with this? How could we move forward? And I just felt this like stirring on my heart to like start an organization, and I knew nothing about that. And so it was like 2020, it was like 2021 when I started seriously thinking about it. In 2022 is when I started not just thinking and praying in secret about it, but like talking to people about it and going, okay, hey, you have a nonprofit experience. I'd love to get advice from you. And hey, would you consider being on our founding board of directors? Like Tamika, who's our board vice president. I asked her back in 2022 to consider it and to pray about it. And, like slowly started like gathering people together and
Yeah.
praying very intentionally, because I know that like with my own brain injury journey, I'm prone to, well, with my personality and my brain injury combined, I'm prone to take on too much and burn out. Cause I just like, I don't, I'm not good at saying no. I'm learning. I'm a lot better at it now than I was a couple years ago. But like, because I care so much about the brain injury community, I was like, if
Yeah.
we're going to do this, we have to do it right. We have to do it intentionally. We have to do it slowly. Like, this
Yeah.
is not something that I'm just going to file paperwork and just hope that it sticks, you know, like
Right.
if I'm going to make a nonprofit, we're going to take slow, small, intentional steps to make it happen. And so 2022 is when those steps started to be taken. So 3 solid years of working towards it before the launch. And when it came to the, it was like I had been making plans, praying, talking about, thinking about the mission, thinking about the vision, just seeking the Lord's timing. And in 2024 fall is when I just felt the Lord. Like, I mean, faith is a huge part of my journey and
Yeah.
my decision process. And it just felt like I felt this stirring in my heart of like, okay, this is the next step. It's time to step forward. And every time I prayed about it, I just had this overwhelming peace of the Lord, just like, yeah, this is it. And then I just said to God, look, I don't know what I'm doing. Please bring people around me to help. I filed the paperwork in faith, you know, paid for it on myself. Also, not being able to really work because of my brain injury, like,
Yeah.
you know, it was an investment, and I knew I was supposed to do it. And I got immediately overwhelmed. I was like,
Hmm.
Lord, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't understand paperwork. I don't, I just really want to do this right. Please bring the people around me. And out of the blue, this amazing person named Jasmine Balignesi Chavez emailed me, and she was like, hey, I would love to, I have experience in this area. If she was a member of my support group, and I had said in the group that I was starting a nonprofit, she sent me an email and said she had experience in it. And I got on the phone with her, and now like she's on our staff and she does all the paperwork, all the stuff I don't know how to do. And it's just like I felt like the Lord just answered my prayer. It was 2 weeks after I
Hmm.
prayed that she emailed me. And then slowly things started to fall together. And funding and like every little thing, every little need was met. And people started to reach out and email and say, I'd love to be part of this. And it's a team effort. Like, I'm the founder, but like I told our entire board of directors, like, this, to me, this is our thing. This is a community
Yeah.
thing. It's called Hope Survives because it's about hope.
Hmm.
I didn't call this the Cristabelle Foundation. That
Right.
then it would be about me. This is not about me. I want this to far outlast me, far be beyond me. I just hope that I could somehow be the catalyst for people to come together and like really have it be community. And so like our heart of Hope Survives is community, 100%. Not
Yes.
only just in support groups, but also like internally, how the organization is run, having input from many different
Hmm.
voices and members of the brain injury community and family members. Like, Hope Survives, it's really important to me. It's not just for survivors, it's for the entire family,
Oh
to
yeah.
help keep families have sustainable relationships after brain injury, to be able to help couples, to be able to help siblings and parents and spouses to know, how do we navigate this life change? Like, that's the vision.
Hmm. I love all of the different types of support groups because a lot of the support groups that you have, they just don't exist. Like my wife and I attended the one that Tamika did. Was it last Tuesday? I
Yeah,
think.
hope for couples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just if there is one out there, I don't know of them, but you have so many different types of groups that it really checks off the boxes for anybody that's looking for support. And that's what that's all about, that community. Because like you said, you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said you feel so lonely. And
Yeah.
I don't know another feeling like that. I really don't.
Yeah, brain injury is isolating because it's
Hmm.
invisible.
Right.
and people don't understand it, and the general public has such a misunderstanding. They think, you know, we didn't talk about this in my journey, but like I'm a singer songwriter, I'm a musician, and I started writing music after my brain injury. I never wrote a song before the brain injury, and I just started writing songs. I couldn't like hold conversations very well as like part of the
Hmm.
aphasia, but for some reason, singing, my
Yeah.
speech wouldn't slur when I sang, and I
Hmm.
could sing and write lyrics that went with melodies in ways that I couldn't really express those same emotions in a conversation. It was my
Right.
outlet for expressing emotion.
Yeah.
And that was like a huge part of my brain injury journey. And then from there, like I just started getting asked to like share my songs at different places, and that's how my music career, it was just people calling me asking me to like sing and share my songs and my brain injury story, and like, and so, but people would see me do concerts and be like, wow, like she doesn't have a brain injury, I can't even tell you have a brain injury. And it's
Hmm.
like, you saw me for 1 hour singing. What
Right.
you didn't see was what happens after when I crash, and all day
Yeah.
before when I have to rest to prep to get there, right? And so people just make so many assumptions on what they can see versus what they don't see. And
Hmm.
recovery is a journey. It's different for everyone.
It is.
And like mine has been very prolonged, and I tell people who joined my support group, like I truly believe that if the technology in 2025 and the research that's out now for brain injury was there when I first got injured, my life would look completely different. I
Hmm.
think I would have gotten the treatment I needed right away. And
Yeah.
people, nowadays I'm hopeful that people will get access to better treatment, find the resources, and be able to improve
Hmm.
and, rebuild their lives in significant ways without it, you know, being I mean, every journey is different, but without feeling lost and alone. you
Right.
know Brain injury is hard enough.
You're
Just
so
even if
right.
you have a community is hard.
Hmm. So touching on what you were saying earlier about people not seeing your invisible injury and how they say, "Oh, well, you look great," and they don't see when you crash. That's the thing that I get a lot too. Is people will say, "Oh, every time I see you, you're great," and I'm thinking, I don't go out of the house when I'm not great. You're seeing me at my very best. When I'm not at my best, I don't leave the house. You don't hear from me. You don't see me. I don't do a podcast. So I mean, it's hard when, and then especially when they see you at your worst, when you go, because you're out of milk and you go to the store and people run into you and you can't get your words to come out right, and they're thinking, are you drunk? No, I don't drink, but this is a brain injury.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is on the horizon? What would you like to see? We'll put it this way: 5 years down the road, where would you like to see Hope Survives?
That's such a good question. Um, I hope, I hope that Hope Survives is helping everyone who needs it. I hope we have more support group times. I hope we have more options. We are working towards in person things we want to do, like retreats and things like that.
Mm,
And I'm hopeful that all that will be going then, that we will be able to be a fully staffed, like national nonprofit, that, we will be able to, if anyone has a brain injury and if any member of their family finds us, that they come and they're like, wow, somebody gets it. I'm not alone. And they're able to connect with others, and they're able to connect with resources quickly, easily, and
yeah.
in a meaningful, valuable way.
Hmm.
Um, and in a way that's helpful, and that they feel loved.
Yeah.
I just hope it outgrows me. That's what I
Yeah.
want.
That would be awesome to have something that's going to outlive you. And I do see that in Hope Survives. I see that the potential is there, that it's going to, I foresee it growing even bigger than it is now. And it's right to me right now, it's a big deal. And I love how everything is running. Everything seems like it's going pretty smoothly. And I'm not saying that to jinx anything, but everything seems like it's running really well. And you've really aligned with the people that you needed to. And Jasmine, I can't say enough about Jasmine. I keep looking for her wings because I'm
I
convinced
know
she's an
she's
angel.
wonderful.
I haven't seen them yet, but I
Yeah.
think they're there. Um, how can people help support Hope Survives? What can they do to get involved?
Yeah. Well, I mean, those are two different questions, I feel. So
Okay.
let's talk about getting involved and then we can talk about support.
Okay.
Getting involved. Look, if you've had a brain injury and you need help and you feel alone, or if you have something to offer, you want to connect with others with brain injury, we have support groups. They're free, they're open. Come. We have workshops, we have scholarships available for all of our workshops. We have brain injury focused groups, we have faith focused groups. Really, wherever you need, we hope that there's a place for you. And there's like no obligations, there's just open arms. We just want people to know they're seen and loved. Like, that's our vision statement. As far as how you can support, we have volunteer opportunities for students. We have internships and service hour projects available. We have committees and other ways to volunteer. Of course, there's financial support, there's no obligation there, but we are looking for businesses and corporate sponsors. So if you know any small business owners, to let us know, or anything that we are a 501c3 tax deductible organization. We would love to align with more like small businesses where like we could partner and help to like raise funds to help more brain injury survivors. That's really our goal, is to provide tangible help and help them to have a sustainable life and know that there really truly is hope. So there are a lot of ways to get involved at whatever capacity that you would like to.
That's awesome. Yeah. So if you want to get involved or offer support, help financially, go to hopesurvives.org. And the email address is info at
It's
hope
hi.
survives. Hi.
Hi. Yeah. Hi at hopesurvives.org. Just say hi. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob. And I really appreciate your kind words about the organization, because like I said, it was like years of praying, years of seeking the Lord, years of
Yeah.
taking intentional steps towards it. What committees we created, how they were formed, like the structure was like a very long, thoughtful process.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like my own brain injury journey, like it's called Hope Survives because I have felt like darkness, like
Mm,
a lot. I've felt the darkness. I've felt the hopelessness. I've been discouraged. I've like struggled. I've struggled to find hope. And there are times that like I felt like a hypocrite for telling people there's hope when I didn't even feel it myself, you know?
yeah.
And so it's like I understand that there's ups and downs, and a lot of people just see social media, they see the highlights, they see whatever. But like realize that like everyone, like we're all just human. We're all just scraping by. We're all
Right.
getting through. And wherever you're at, like whatever, whoever's listening to this, like whatever part of your journey that you're at, like know that there really is tangible hope for you. Your brain has neuroplasticity, the ability to heal, the ability to rewire. If you're having symptoms, there's a reason. I thought for like 10 years that my symptoms were random and that there was nothing I could do about them. And all because the doctors told me you just have to manage it and learn to live with it. And so I thought, well, I'll never be able to drive. I'll never be able to have a job. I'll never be able to do anything. I'll just sing for the rest of my life because that's the one thing I guess I can do. And realizing now, like, I have my learner's permit. I don't have my license yet, but I was able to do vision therapy and vestibular and like get things
Yeah.
worked on and my proprioceptive system. And like, I'm still growing and I'm still on my recovery journey, but like things that I was told I would never be able to do,
Hmm.
like the doctor said I wouldn't graduate high school when I first had my brain injury and I had to repeat a grade and do an extra year. But like now I have a master's degree, right? And it's like it
Yeah.
took longer than it would take for most people. I got it when
Hmm.
I was 28, but like I'm so thankful. Like I have my master's in theology and I used that degree to create Bible study curriculum for brain injury survivors. Like that's what I want to do. And so Yeah, it's just like know that like you never know where the Lord's going to take you, and there's a reason that you're still here. There's a reason that you have the passions you have. There's a reason that you have the life you have, and you have something to offer this world.
Right. You have to give yourself lots and lots of grace. I learned that early on. And anybody that says, "Oh, there's not days that you're going to be down on yourself," they're mistaken big time, because we're human. Even
Yeah.
though we know that there's brighter days ahead and we know there's always hope, we are human, and we're not the cheerleaders for ourselves that we are for others. And
Mm-hmm.
I said that to someone today because they were having a bad day. They don't have a brain injury, but they were saying all the things that were going wrong. And I said, give yourself some grace. It's okay. It's okay to not be okay.
Mm.
And just that one little word of encouragement, you're like, you know what? You're right. I'm stressing over losing my boots, and I can go buy another pair of boots. Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's dark sometimes when it seems like there's no one around you, that no one that cares. So that's why we do what we do. We want people to know that we care. We want people to know that they are loved and they are accepted and they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that knowing that we're not alone, that's what helped me, I think, more than anything. Because once I got involved in support groups and I saw other people going, yeah, I struggle. Oh, okay, well, then maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe there are brighter days ahead. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's important to get involved and to build that community. That word community I love, because that's what it is all about.
Mm-hmm. And you never know how your story could help someone else.
Right.
Like even just by showing up at a group or by like, we had a group this week for Hope After Head Injury, which is what we call our. That's what I used to call it all, but we kept the name for the Zoom support group
Yeah.
within Hope Survives, and we meet twice a month with that. And there was a girl who was sharing her story of like a really, really terrible car accident she got into, and then there was another woman who had almost a very, very similar, almost identical story, but she was 15 years
Hmm.
down the line from it. And it happened when they were around the same age. And just seeing them connect was like really cool because it was
Yeah.
able to say, like, wow, like you've literally been there. Like our stories are so
Hmm.
similar. But this girl was like 1 year into it. And this other woman was like 15 years into it. And so to be able to like have that, like, she didn't know when she came how much hope she would bring to the girl who just had the injury.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes when you go to support groups, it's not even so much like you don't realize, first of all, how much you might need it. Second of
Hmm.
all, you don't realize the encouragement you could be to someone else by just
Yeah.
showing up and being there. So, I love
Exactly.
how the community supports each other, and there's power in like just linking arms with someone and being like, hey, like we're in this together.
Yeah.
You're not alone in what you're going through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to give the last few minutes to you to encourage the viewers to say whatever it is that's on your mind, on your heart, and then we'll close it out.
All right. Well, um, I feel like I've already kind of shared some encouragement, but since you gave me the floor, I think that if if you felt like every time you start to take step forwards, there's steps back. If you felt like as soon as you start to like, you're treading water, and as soon as you start to like, okay, like it feels calm. I can just like relax and breathe and maybe float a little bit. And then a wave comes and you're like, oh, I have to tread water really crazy again to just stay afloat. Um, I don't know. It's just metaphor that came to my mind. But like, I have in my journey felt so many times like as soon as it felt like the sky was clear, a storm came. As soon as it felt like I was making improvement in my injury, another injury hit. And there is nothing like that sinking feeling of realizing you just fell and hit your head again.
Mm,
There is nothing like that sinking feeling of the symptoms hitting things you've already walked through.
yeah.
now going through a re-injury or like a really bad flare up of like, I thought I was past this. And now, like, why am I doing this again? And it's really discouraging. And the majority of my brain injury journey has been that setbacks. I have had, like I said, multiple concussions, but I also have had long COVID. And I had COVID last summer and it attacked my nervous system. I couldn't use my right hand for 4 months.
Oh,
The fatigue was like over 6 months of struggling. Like it was like, I'm still not how I was before I had it. And, you know, for some people, COVID can cause a type of acquired brain injury. And that happened for me. And it was like, but I was doing everything right. I didn't fall this time. This is not fair. Like, why is my brain so like annoying and fragile? And like, it's just so discouraging. And so, something I've learned over the years is first of all, you have to allow yourself to grieve. You have to allow yourself to feel those feelings. You cannot just shove them down. I've tried, it doesn't work. I promise you, if you shove them down, they will come out in weird ways on the people around you,
mm,
on yourself in ways you don't expect. You have to feel them. You have to talk through them. You have to journal them. You have to go to a therapist. You have whoever you have to talk to. You have to let the feelings out and let
right.
yourself be angry. Let yourself be sad, let yourself grieve. But where I have found the most hope is living in what I call the tension. I live in the tension of grief and hope, the tension of sadness and joy, the tension of fatigue and exhaustion, and trying to have a semblance of energy. I live in that tension, and that some days I might feel a little bit more towards the one way, days I might feel a little more towards the other way. But over time, you will notice if you take the small intentional steps to work on your brain health, to work on your nutrition, to work on your sleep, very small things that seem like nothing are very important for your brain recovery, routine and sleep and nutrition and like metabolic health, and like the small steps that you take every day add up into a giant leap that you didn't realize, and one day you'll look back and be like, oh wow. The other thing is setbacks. You know more when you go through a setback than you knew the first time.
Right.
So you're not back. Like I had to reframe that. Like I actually haven't moved backwards. I'm just doing a little cha cha to the side, right? Like it's like I'm still moving forward, but just in a weird sideways way.
Yeah.
But like you're not moving backwards because you are still moving forwards because you know more. Every day you're growing. Every day you're learning. Every day you know more than you knew before.
Mm,
And in your brain injury journey, realize that what feels like a setback could actually be a step forward in
yeah.
a new way. You're pivoting, you're learning, you're growing, and it's natural and it's part of the journey. There's no perfect brain injury recovery where someone just all of a sudden they just keep going up and there's no difficulties. That unfortunately that's not possible.
Right.
But realize that your struggles and setbacks could actually be growing you in ways that you didn't know, and that you're growing through everything you're going through, and it's growing you into a more resilient, more beautiful, blooming human.
Could have said it better myself. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been such
Thanks,
a
Rob.
joy to have you. And people, don't forget to go to Cristabelle's uh, podcast, Hope After Head
You
Injury.
can just go to hopesurvives.org.
There you go.
Everything's there. And
Yeah.
cristabellebraden.com if you're interested in the music.
Yes. And you, I loved your music. You do a great job. We'll have to
Thank
have
you,
you in to
Rob.
sing one time, or just put a video out. I will say this real quick before we go. My dream is to do like a video of a bunch of survivors, and of course we'd have to do it virtually, but all singing together in unison. Like "Lean on Me" or something
I
that's brain
love
injury
that.
related. That's my dream.
Have you seen my We're Gonna Make It video? So
I don't
when
think
I
I
was
have.
on tour in 2017, I wrote a song called "We're Gonna Make It" about living with brain injury, and I played at like a whole bunch of brain injury, like I did like concerts at brain injury support groups and rehab centers, and I had all the survivors sing it, and we edited it together for the music video for the song "We're Gonna Make It" on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
I'm gonna go. We'll look it up as soon as we
Yeah,
get done
I'll have to
talking.
send it to you. Yeah.
I've seen your other music. I'm surprised I didn't see that one. Of
It's one of the
course,
older ones. It's from 2017. I did a
that might be
Hope
why I didn't
Survives
see it.
tour. Yeah, yeah.
But of course, brain injury. I may have watched it, and you know
Yeah.
how that goes.
Well, I really appreciate you, Rob. I appreciate your heart for people. I'm excited to continue working with you through Hope Survives, and we're really grateful for you.
Oh,
And
thank
I love
you.
working together. We will continue to do so.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Guys, it's been great having Cristabelle on today. Make sure you check out hopesurvives.org. Everything that we've talked about today will be listed right there for your enjoyment and involvement. We hope you do get involved, and we hope if you need the resources that you'll also take advantage of those as well. Because I've is not only because I'm part of Hope Survives, but I've used the resources as well, and it's really great. So I really encourage you to visit that. If you have enjoyed today's program, if you wouldn't mind to hit subscribe and share it with someone that you think could use this information. Until next week, this has been Life Rewired.